Dickinson County Nature Center, and thank you for being a volunteer. We're so happy to have you. Thanks for participating in our video training. So the basic duties of a volunteer are twofold, dependent on which duty you have. But the main duties are to greet visitors, answer the phone, transfer calls, or take messages, encourage our visitors to sign the guest book, give tours, talk about upcoming activities and programs, and then sometimes working on short to-do list items like helping with craft preparation for programs and things like that. We try to have a very positive atmosphere here at the Dickinson County Nature Center. So we try to greet each visitor who comes in with a smile and a hello, ask, have you been to the Dickinson County Nature Center before? If they have, say, okay, just let us know if you have any questions. If they haven't, I usually ask, where they're from, are they just visiting the area, and then give them a brief overview of all of the offerings that we have in the Nature Center and let them explore on their own. For some visitors, generally the older population, they might want a little more in-depth tour, so feel free to ask if they would like a tour or if they would like to be let out on their own. We do have a guest book as well, so if you could ask them to sign the guest book, but the biggest thing is to tally our visitors. So we do have a little tally counter, so we just click in every visitor who comes into the Nature Center, and then we record that in our visitor log at the end of each day. Now, we do have the phone at the front desk. There are instructions above the phone. It is the volunteer's job to answer the phone. So I always say Dickinson County Nature Center and Conservation Board. This is insert your name here. How may I help you? You can take messages for people and they aren't here, and they can go into the mailboxes on the back of the desk, or you can also transfer calls. There are transfer instructions in your manual as well as above the phone there. We also have name tags that you can wear, or we have volunteer shirts if you would like one. And then we have a variety of calendars. So we do have a volunteer calendar that you can sign up for hours in. So it shows the different shifts that we have, and you can sign up to either be the front desk volunteer, or you can sign up to be kind of the floater docent who works in Pollinator Paradise and gives tours and does some of that work as well. We have wireless here that the public can use, and the big question we always get is, can I do any rentals or reservations? We don't do any private rentals at the Dickinson County Nature Center. However, we do have the new Mazer Monarch Lodge in Kenyu Park, and all reservations can be done online for that. One of the big things that our Nature Center volunteers do is the gift shop. So parties can come and bring their items from the gift shop up to the front desk, and we do have our cash register in the back here, so you can ring things up on the cash register. It's pretty simple to use. We don't keep any inventory on the cash register, so you don't need to worry about messing that up. All the details of how to use it are again in your manual. They're also listed right above the cash register back here as well. It's basically a giant printing calculator, and so we can do cash there, or we can also do checks, and then we do have a credit card machine as well. So this is called a square. There is a button right here on the side, so that will have the screen off. To turn the screen on, you just click that little button. As you can see, it is portable, so we do have it plugged in the back. There is a little plug right here, but that is mainly for charging purposes. Otherwise, you can move it around. So to utilize the credit card machine, it's a little bright here, but hopefully that'll still work. So you turn the screen on, and then you just type in whatever your purchase is. So say it is $5. So you type in 500. So it says up here, charge $5. So you hit charge, and then the screen will come up that says tap, insert, or swipe. So you have a credit card. You can either do this for them, or you can hand the machine to them and they can do it themselves. Just like at a store, you can swipe it. If it has the chip, then you insert it. It says do not remove card, prepare preparing payment, authorizing, approved. So please remove card. So we are going to remove the card here. How would you like your receipt? So you can ask the person, how would you like a receipt? If they say no, you can hit no thanks. If they would like a printed copy, you can just hit print. It'll come out right here, super simple. They can also have the choice to email or text it to them. I would just hand it to them at that point. You can hit email and then hand it to them, and then they can enter their email here and hit send, or they can also hit text, hand it to them, they can put in their phone number and then hit send. So if we say no thanks, at the very top right here, it says new sale. So you click on new sale and it will take you back to that original screen. And again, just hit, you can hit the little button on the side and it will turn off. I think it will also turn off if you don't use it for a little while too. So that is a very simple way to use credit cards now, and you don't have to worry about using the computer. All of the instructions are right above it. So they'll be back here on those white pages, and then the cash register instructions are also back there as well. Now in the gift shop, everything is priced individually. So everything will have a price tag on it that says how much it is. So a chipmunk, $8 here. And some items, which are really small items, won't necessarily have a price tag on them because they're just too small. So for instance, we have these little tiny cardinals, much too small to be able to price individually. So actually the price then will be wherever you get that item. So if you go back here, it says cardinal minis, 50 cents each. So if it doesn't have a price on it, that means it's a bulk item, and that you just go back to where it was found, you know, or ask the person how much it is. The other thing is, when you are recording your inventory in the binder by the cash register, make sure to be as specific as possible. If you say butterfly, I will not know what you sold, because we have butterfly watches and we have butterfly cards and we have butterfly plush items and we have butterfly figurines, and I just won't know. So the best way to do it is to write down whatever it says on the item. So this butterfly plush is a butterfly, oh, that tag fell off. This is a butterfly hugger. So that means that's in the inventory is listed as a hugger. So if you write down butterfly hugger, I will know exactly what you sold. So now we'll go over the opening and closing procedures for the Dickinson County Nature Center. If you arrive for the 10 a.m. shift, it's your job to open the Nature Center. And if you're here at the end of the 1 to 4 p.m. shift, then it's your job to close the Nature Center. And the instructions are pretty much the same, just backward depending on what part of the shift that you do. So the first thing that we do is we can unlock the doors. And so we have an Allen wrench here by the doors that you can use to unlock them. You can tell if the door is unlocked by pushing up here. So right now it doesn't open, which means that it is locked. So what we'll do is we will squeeze in the bar and then insert the Allen wrench into the hole here. Hear a click. Now when we push, the door is open. So you can always tell by not pushing on the bar, by pushing on the door. And if you want to lock it at the end of the day, you put in the Allen wrench, listen for the click, and the bar will pop out. Again, we are now locked up. The other thing we do is, if you look up above the doors are the handicap door. So we're gonna push on power on, auto on. We just go through the Nature Center basically in a circle. So we will hit all on our light panel here at the end of the day, hit all off. And then we go over to our topography sandbox here. So it'll be down here. There is the button right under the HP signal. You hit on, grab the remote, and then you just click on for the projector to turn on. I'm also going to take you through a few troubleshooting tips here. If you have turned it on and the program doesn't come up and it looks like this, which looks like a desktop and has a icon right there, that means that the program is not running. So what you need to do is you need to come behind the poster that's usually here and look at this connection where it says connect. This light should be on. So you can see right now that that light is not on. So we need to jiggle this plug, because that's what kind of comes loose sometimes, until you see how that green light just turned on. Sometimes you have to very gingerly let it go, and make sure that that green light stays on. Then to start the program, you would go underneath here, and then you see how the mouse is right here. So you're going to use the mouse just like you would use a computer mouse, and you go, so I'm going to look for the computer mouse here and double click on this program, and voila, it turns on. Then we'll go into the bat cave. In the bat cave, next to each box, there is a light switch right here. You just hit that light switch to turn on each of the bat cave boxes. And then we walk into Pollinator Paradise. Before we get there, you will pass the Your Nature wall, and then we have a light switch here. That's actually the light switch for the gift shop. Doesn't kind of make sense because it's at the gift shop. It's actually built behind the bookshelf. And then we go into Pollinator Paradise. The light switches are behind the door, so we turn those on at the beginning of the day or off at the end of the day. Always make sure to put down any of the yellow stools that you see up. Sometimes they are put up for cleaning purposes, so if you have yellow stools, they go on the ground. We also ask that you make sure to pick up any loose parts. So if there's balls on the ground or pieces in the food truck that are not put away, that you clean those up at the beginning of the day. The other thing to do in Pollinator Paradise is to go over to the indoor beehive. And here at the indoor beehive, we have a little cover, and we just pull down on that cover and put it up so that people can then see inside the beehive. At the end of the day, we pull that cover down, and we also, at the end of the day, make sure that we check all of our doors to make sure that they are locked and ready to go for the next day as well. Included in your manual are some tidbits from each of the exhibits at the Dickinson County Nature Center, and those are updated annually because our exhibits are always changing and updating. So as of 2020, these are the exhibits that we have here at the Nature Center. Now you can memorize some of the tidbits, or you can bring your manual around with you and talk to people about some of the tidbits, but it's always fun to kind of have a few things that you like to talk about. So we start off with our Glacial Landmark Tour, and so kids can actually climb on the Glacial Landmark Tour. So it starts with a fen, and you can bounce on the fen like the Silver Lake fen. You can climb on the came, and what's really cool is that outside this window we have an actual came in Kenyu Park. So you can encourage people to climb on the fake one inside and then go outside as well. There is an esker and then a glacier you can go in here. We do have our topography sandbox, and when you move the sand in the sandbox, it creates a watershed that changes. So you can make a lake, or you can make a mountain here. This exhibit is for older kids. So the best thing to do is, if you see younger ones coming up here or parents holding up little ones, we say, actually, that exhibit is for ages 10 and older. And the little ones, we have a glacial fossil dig area. In the sunroom, we have our prairie roots exhibit, and the biggest thing here is to show just how deep prairie roots go below the ground. So Kentucky bluegrass grows about a 4-inch root system, and when rain falls on that, a lot of it ends up running off into our storm sewers, taking with it pesticides and fertilizers. Whereas if we have native plants or even native turf grass in our yard, then the water will soak 6 to 9 feet into the ground, even 15 feet into the ground, like the compass plant here. And by the time it makes its way through the watershed, then it is very clean, and that is really good for our lakes. Also above ground, our native plants are great for pollinators. Then outside in Kenyu Park, we also have our trumpeter swan display for our trumpeter swans that live on our wetland year round. We have 2 rehabilitated trumpeter swans that live on our wetland, and they are both flightless, and they live here year round because we have an aerator that keeps some of the water open in all the seasons. We are also really well known for our osprey program. So we have a timeline that talks all about the osprey and osprey reintroduction into Iowa. Osprey were extirpated in Iowa, which means extinct in a certain area. So they were gone from the state from about the time the settlers came through the early 2000s. At that time, they started to come back. They are an indicator of good water quality because they eat about 99% fish. So they only will go to places that have really good water quality and habitat for the food that they eat. So you can check out some of the facts about our osprey and even pretend to be an osprey and take pictures or see the actual size of an osprey nest. And then we do have an osprey nest in Kenyu Park, and you can see that on the observation tower outside. Also new at the Dickinson County Nature Center this spring is our What's Your Wingspan exhibit. So please encourage people to come back here and check it out. They can see different birds that we have here in Dickinson County, including a trumpeter swan, osprey, we have a great horned owl, a mallard, a robin, and a hummingbird. And then we have all of the sizes of their wings. People can stand and say, how big is my wingspan compared to these different birds? And then they can also go over here and learn about birds. So we have information about different kinds of feathers and how different kinds of feathers have different roles on a bird, like the down keeps them warm, the wing and tail feathers help them be aerodynamic. It also has information about hollow bones and why those are structurally important for flying for birds. And then you can also go and you can measure your hand. So a human hand is an average of 7 inches. A trumpeter swan has a foot that's about 8 inches. A mallard has a foot that's about 3 inches. So depending on the size of your hand, you can also see how that measures up to different birds. So please encourage people to come over and check out the What's Your Wingspan exhibit as well. Inside the bat cave, we also have information about all of the different bats in Iowa. There's 8 different kinds of native bats to the state of Iowa, although we only have about 2 in Dickinson County, the little brown bat and the big brown bat. Some of our bats are endangered, and we also have issues with white nose syndrome coming through the state. So there's information in the bat cave about all the different bats, about some of the issues going on with them, about how we can help them, and also with a lot of myths and truths about them. So myths like bats carry rabies, when bats do not have higher incidences of rabies, and they actually have less incidences of rabies than dogs, or that bats will try to attack you. When our bats are really just using echolocation and may swoop down to get bugs next to you, but they're certainly not trying to attack you. So the bat cave is a great place to learn all about some of our misunderstood creatures. The Pollinator Paradise is the newest addition to the Dickinson County Nature Center. It opened in November of 2019. Now, the goals of Pollinator Paradise are to use interaction to teach people all about the importance of pollinators, including butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds and other creatures like that. So we have a variety of different exhibits. Kids can pollinate with the apple trees. They can put on bee costumes and climb through the human-sized honeycomb, check out an indoor beehive, create faux meals in our fantastical food truck using meals that are have to have pollinators to survive. You can also create a pollinator garden through our digital game, or build your own pollinator like a Mr. Potato Head of pollinators. And then we do have a seasonal butterfly enclosure as well. So you might get a lot of pollinator questions, so check out your manual for more specifics about that. In the lower level of the Dickinson County Nature Center, we have a variety of different exhibits. We have a lot of our live animals, which are always a hit. And if we have requests from people, we can take out our live animals. Just make sure that you talk to one of our naturalists before saying that they can take out an animal of their enclosure, because they might be busy, might not have enough time, might not be a good time to take out one of our animals. So just make sure that our naturalists give you permission before we promise that to a guest. But we do try to do that when we can. We have Pinky the tarantula, Great Plains toads, a hedgehog. We have 3 different kinds of snakes. We have an albino corn snake, a corn snake, and a western fox snake, which actually is native to Iowa. We have tiger salamanders and fish from the Great Lakes. And then we also have a snapping turtle and red-eared slider turtles. In the back room then too, we have Bindi the bunny as well. One other popular place down here in the lower level is our kids area. So kids can pretend to go to space and they can play on the activity trail or jump on the moon. There's lots of toys down there. They can come to the other side and they can measure themselves against different predators in the state of Iowa or see how big their hands and feet are compared to predator tracks. They can play the sound and scat match game to learn about animal poop and animal sounds as well. So in addition to everything inside the Nature Center, we also have a good amount of things to do outside of the Nature Center. So Dickinson County Nature Center is located in Kenyu Park. We have 75 acres here, including a prairie, a wetland, an oak savanna. The park is open until 10:30 a.m. so people can utilize any of our outdoor spaces even if the Nature Center is closed. We do have a patio area where they can use to eat picnics. We don't allow food in the Nature Center. However, they can eat outside if they would like to. There is also a patio area on the lower level. We have our avian courtyard, which is the space right outside the front door. It's planted with a variety of natives to draw in birds, shrubs that offer protection, some that offer food. There's several bird feeders out there. The bird feed is located in the stairwell to the upstairs, so if you ever notice that the bird feed is low, feel free to fill those feeders up. We do have an amphitheater that's used for programming outside. On our wetland live our trumpeter swans, and then there is an observation tower out there as well that people can climb to get a good view of the swans, and there is a floating dock that they can walk out on to get a view of the swans as well. You can see the osprey in the park from about April to September. We do have our nature playscape right across the parking lot in between the Nature Center and the lodge, and that is open from dawn to dusk, so anybody can use that. There's an underground tunnel, logs to climb on, a tree house to climb in. There are some natural musical instruments, a swinging bridge, and lots of fun stuff like that. We do have our glacial cave outside, so you can climb up the glacial remnant in the park, and there is a viewing platform that has a really beautiful view of Brooks and Kenyu Park. The paved trail goes from all the way from the Pearson Lakes Art Center or west to the Westport Schoolhouse. Then we do have our seasonal Westport Schoolhouse. We have geocaching, there are mowed trails, and we also have our 18-hole disc golf course. So Westport Schoolhouse itself is open seasonally only. It's open the second Tuesday of June through the last Friday of August. So people can see that set 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday. We have 2 volunteer shifts out there, 10 to noon and noon to 2. It is all volunteer run. The Westport Schoolhouse was one of the last remaining schoolhouses in Dickinson County. It's actually located in Westport Township, which is in the southwest corner of the county, and then it was moved here in 1996 as a part of Iowa's sesquicentennial, and you can learn more about it in your manual as well. The Okoboji Disc Golf Course is open to the public. It's completely free. We do not rent out discs. We do sell some in the gift shop, and people can bring their own, but we don't rent out or let people borrow discs just because they're very easily lost. There are brochures with a map of the course as well as a scorecard in the brochure rack inside the Nature Center. So the Dickinson County Conservation Board is actually a part of Dickinson County government. So all of our operations and staffing is paid for through taxes, just like any other county department, like the auditor's office or the assessor's office or the recorder's office. The conservation department is a part of county government. We do have our own separate board, and Then we also have a nonprofit arm. So we have the Conservation Foundation of Dickinson County, which is our nonprofit, which has its own separate board, and that works to pay for special projects. So whether it be like the lodge or Brook Golf Course or Pollinator Paradise, all of our special projects and fundraising goes through our nonprofit foundation. Beyond the Dickinson County Nature Center and Kenyu Park, Dickinson County Conservation has more than 10 county parks and areas, from Horseshoe Bend in Milford to the Judd Wildlife area just south of that. We have Superior Marsh all the way up in Superior, and Westport Park, which is almost down to Everly. So we have parks throughout Dickinson County, and people are welcome to visit any of those parks as well. Just to wrap it up, we do have Volunteer Appreciation Day, the first Monday of every month at 10 a.m. It's a time for volunteers to get together to know each other, as well as to do some different training exercises. So you're always welcome to do that. There are some frequently asked questions at the back of your manual, so I encourage you to take time to look at that, as well as to read through the entire manual. We try to answer all the questions that you might have. If you ever have any questions, though, feel free to contact any of the staff at the Dickinson County Nature Center. We are absolutely happy to help. If you ever have any issues or ever unhappy with anything that happens at the Nature Center or unhappy with the time that you spend here, please contact us. We want you to be happy. We are so appreciative of all of our volunteers, and we can't thank you enough for wanting to join the volunteer program at the Dickinson County Nature Center.